Welcome to On the Chain.
So this is one of the quotes in this tweet thread, which is just phenomenal. People are entitled to their own opinions, but they are not allowed to make up facts or attempt to rewrite history to fit their narrative. It's just not going to happen, Jeff.
Boom!
Boom, baby. Boom. So
that's what we got here. This is good. Go up to that top one right off the bat. And this is good, man. These are the people that would gaslight the public and legislatures. SBF committed fraud and theft. We have regulations and laws that cover what he did. FTX was an offshore exchange. And this all stems from Matt Stoller, who is all about propping up Gary Gensler. And he's there really trying to support the narrative.
Gary Gensler. Man, Gary Gensler. I mean, why is his name creeping into all these conversations? Yeah, and let's call that out. Sam Bankman-Fried, because everyone's like SBF. It's almost like you don't know what that is anymore. Almost like it's not even attached. But so Matt Stoller was basically saying, Gensler is asking Congress for more authority to regulate crypto. The Republican commissioners were demanding he allow crypto ETFs, which would allow him a lot more. And this is what really set John off, because it's not framing that argument really well there. It's not like they were saying, oh, you have to allow, and they're trying to make it though, they collapse everything, like the ETFs are connected to this other thing. And the problem is that it was offshore. There's a reason they set up base in Bahamas, right? And then John goes on to say that there's nothing that Elizabeth Warren or Gary Gensler said or asked for that would have prevented FTX collapse, because it collapsed due to what? Fraud and theft. The DCCPA being offered by Senator Stabenow and John Boozman wouldn't have prevented the collapse, and the bill was written and promoted by Sam Bankman-Fried. Okay,
that's another issue right there, Chip.
That's another big issue.
That he was there helping. They had all these smart people, right? All these intelligent, active people in the community. And outside of that, you had the Brian Armstrong, you have Brad Garlinghouse, you have all these really highly, well-placed people in the community that are building projects. And all of a sudden, SBF and FTX rise again, like we were saying before, just rise so quickly. And who do they tap to come in? But the one person that is completely interconnected into their inner circle. So John Deaton goes on as far as defending Gensler. What does he say about that?
Well, first off, he talks about, Leonidas put that tweet out about Gary Gensler, MIT, April 23rd, 2018. Compliance, change in behavior without any enforcement. There needs to be clarity in the market. So that's what Gary Gensler was calling for back in 2018, right?
He did.
And,
we're talking about clarity. We're talking about, any focuses in on some of the projects that are being developed and built at the time. But then he goes on and he moves into irrational mindset mode.
Yeah, but he even said that Ripple needed clarity. Everybody needed clarity. There was zero clarity. You know what I mean? Deaton goes on to say, but look, 3 years later, after becoming the SEC chair, and get this straight, he didn't ask Congress to give him clarity or expand his authority. That's a total misrepresentation. The truth is, Gensler said it's always been crystal clear. And Jeff, isn't this something he always states in every interview?
He does come out. He said it's very clear, and it's not clear, and everybody knows it's not clear because it's very murky. Hence, the reason why they're trying to find a solution through some form of legislation.
And then you have people are entitled to their. This is it. This is great. They're entitled to their opinions. They're not entitled to make up facts or attempt to rewrite history to fit their narrative. This guy claims I and others are the problem, but ignores Hester Peirce's publicly admittance, I would say, that Gensler's agenda shares the blame. True or false? 100% true. And then 100%. Deaton goes on to say, look, I'm not sure how claiming that if Gensler would have approved the spot Bitcoin ETF, that it would have caused more damage. Personally, I'm not qualified to say one way or the other, but others have argued the opposite. So back to the people defending Gensler, maybe before giving him the type of credit, you'd want to know what was said between Gary and Sam Bankman-Fried on March 29th, 2022, because 1 month later, there were additional meetings with Sam Bankman-Fried. and the Gensler staff. And where is the rest of his calendar, Jeff?
Where are the notes from that as well? Look at this. I mean, think about the fact that he brought him in, he's having this conversation with him. What exactly did they review? What were they discussing? What were they covering? And if the defenders of Gary Gensler are going to come out and their idea is to make this political, they're trying to fashion something that didn't really exist.
Yeah, and this was Stefan Huber, but found the memorandum of the SEC in which it recorded what the meeting of the SEC was with Sam Bankman-Fried was about, the risks and naturally non-action relief from Gary for FTX, the best investor protection agency in the world by far. So a non-action as opposed to some kind of an action, which is what he always says, come in and talk to us. Come talk to us. Well, talk to us. Well, why would anybody do that? Why would anybody talk to us? Ripple talked to him for years, 5, 6, 7 years talking to them. Deaton goes on to say the Blockchain Association and Masari Crypto have suggested that Sam Bankman-Fried may have been close to some deal with the SEC. Now, Jeff, this is interesting. Wouldn't you want to know exactly what was going on before giving Gensler any credit? Why isn't he talking to Coinbase and Brian Armstrong about U.S. regulations? Why Sam Bankman-Fried? Jeff, what is your thought on this?
Yeah, that's again, that's what we were saying before. And so I'm glad John Deaton brought that up 100%. Bring in Brian Armstrong, bring in Jesse Powell from Kraken, bring in Brad Garlinghouse from Ripple, bring in Kaufman from Library. Oh, wait, he did bring him in. Oh, for the wrong reasons. And the list goes on and on. I mean, there's many players in this space that could provide some amazing insight into the development. Hey, you know what? By the way, go talk to, as we'd mentioned, go talk to Congressman Tom Emmer, talk to Congressman Warren Davidson, talk to some of the key players that have been really investing a significant amount of time to try to figure out what's going on here.
So John Dean goes on to say, but then again, I bet his supporters like Matthew Stoller, who was the guy that made the original comment, actually believed that the youngest partner in Goldman Sachs history, once described as a child prodigy, couldn't figure out how to access his work email from home during the MF global crisis. Man, this is like spitting fire, right? This is some good stuff. If the SEC would have done its job, and I'm not limiting criticism only to Gensler, Clayton's tenure shares some blame. Yeah, a lot of the blame. Many wouldn't seek offshore exposure to digital assets. As for regulations in the U.S., read below and ask some relevant questions. And this was John Deaton saying what people have failed to understand is the point that there is some grand conspiracy. The point is that Sam Bankman-Fried bought access to regulators through money and his family's political connections. Ask yourself something. Why did Sam Bankman-Fried have such access?
That's right. And that tweet storm that he has right there, if you open that one up, Chip, there's some he really digs into that. And I think that one is definitely worthwhile getting into right now because it's really amazing. So we go down into that and check this stuff out. I mean, number one, being an offshore exchange, why was SBF leading the policy debate? And we're going to keep hounding them on this one, Chip, because this is a really, really solid point. Why was he, what did Gary Gensler know? Why was he, willing to accept SBF? Why was Congress willing to accept SBF in front of them? Why was he test-aligned before Congress? John Deaton's test-aligned. At Coinbase is the largest exchange in the U.S. and is a publicly traded company that's been attempting to work with the SEC. Why SBF? Why this young kid that can't comb his hair properly? I just don't understand it, Chip.
Well, I do, because both of his parents were basically funneling a lot of money. They had the equivalent of like PACs or something like that, so they could go ahead and funnel money. And then money was given, we got to be careful what we say here, but money was given to a foreign entity, and that foreign entity sort of laundered it on the way back. And then it ended up in the coffers of the Blue Party.
About $40 million worth.
To the tune of $40 million.
They're saying it could be more than that.
Well, making him, well, that's what we know about, but it also makes Sam Bankman-Fried the number 2 donor. So it's like, we've always heard this, you pay for access, based on the donors, and donors expect something in return, like, they have their cause or whatever. But, I mean, come on. I mean, we're not stupid. We kind of know how this works by now. We're not going to pretend that doesn't exist. It's of course illegal, but it happens all the time. So John Deaton says, in fact, Coinbase has a broker-dealer license, yet Brian Armstrong was shut out, threatened to be sued over Coinbase's Lend product. Do you remember that, Jeff? You were gonna get like a stinking 4%. Maybe it was 3.5 or 4%, and they went crazy about it. Come on and talk to us.
Oh yeah, come in and talk to us. Come in and talk to us. Come in and talk to us.
Come in and talk to us. Come in and talk to us. We gotta talk. We gotta.
You know what happens. You know what happens when you come in and talk to them. You just get a lot of this.
Yeah, that's the inside of his brain right there. It's like just pretty much crickets the entire time. It's really ridiculous. So the CEO of the largest exchange in the U.S. denied meetings. Even he tweeted out his frustrations. And I remember Brian Armstrong put those threads out there and then kind of walked them back a little bit because he was like, oh yeah, we are a public company. We are regulated by the SEC. And, maybe we'll get one of those notices, those action notices. What's a Wells notice? Was what they call it. Also, why not talk to Jesse Powell? Well, and he's on the board now, but why not talk to Kraken? Why not? I mean, why wouldn't you talk to them? Especially Kraken's like one of the oldest exchanges, Jeff.
It's amazing. You know what? I think part of their problem is you try to go into with Brian Armstrong, and obviously we saw Brian Armstrong went on a little bit of a tirade against the SEC, and he was very well justified in everything that he said. Obviously, someone tapped him on the shoulder. Maybe people from the board of directors said, "Hey, by the way, you're now a publicly traded company, so you might want to zip it." And then
shut up.
And then Jesse Powell from Kraken picked up where he left off and kept on going, and obviously there's some major issue across the board with the SEC. But in this situation, why won't they invite Kraken, Jesse Powell, or Brian Armstrong at this point? Or, why wouldn't they invite Brad Garlinghouse in?
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.